Good morning, cuties. Welcome back to the vlog. Grace here. I've missed you all. Okay, I just need to start off before we get the full catch up going. I had a whole plan for today and it is just going wrong. This is gonna be our long anticipated Q&A video, and I had this really fun way I wanted to film it, which is why I was waiting for like the perfect moment. I mean, that's not why I haven't been filming, I promise. I will update you on that. But this week I was like, okay, I'm gonna give myself Wednesday. I was like a little nervous last night going to bed. I was like, okay, I hope everything's ready for tomorrow. I want to get this video done. I'm so excited. And I was nervous because I want to use, well, I guess I can show you this part. I want to use my mini mic, which isn't my favorite thing ever. I've had it for, I feel like Trevor got me these mini mics maybe a year ago. And I actually don't love the sound of it compared to the mic that I have on this camera, but I thought it would work better because I want to film in a few of my favorite places, like do questions on the go. And I thought it would be better for that. But I thought I had it all charged. And then I think I learned that this part needs to be charged, and I don't know. We'll see if I get around to it, but also I'm like, you know, that just might be stressful. Maybe I'll just try filming it this way. Next, I was gonna take us to this coffee shop that I just got here, and as I was pulling up, I didn't put it in Google Maps because I was charging this, which is connected to my car, so I couldn't see Google Maps, and so I didn't have my phone on because I was like, okay, I know how to get here, but it would have told me that it was going to be closed. And then I realized as I pulled up to the stop sign before I turned onto the street, I was like, wait, it's Wednesday. I bet you this coffee shop isn't even open. Oh, so frustrating. And I don't know if there is any coffee shops open around here. I'm gonna look it up, but I was really excited to see what their fall menu had. It's all gonna be okay, cuties. The point is, things can get in our way, but we can keep on trucking along. Just like, oh yeah, and there's never good internet here, so it's not gonna show me anything really close. I guess we could go to up the road and we could go to the garden center. Okay, maybe we'll do that. We're still gonna have fun. We're still gonna have fun. Have I taken you to the watering can? It's a classic. 8 minutes. We're gonna do the watering can. Okay, but since we're already in the parking lot, we're gonna do the first part of our Q&A. Basically, today's video, I'm gonna take you around to a few of my favorite spots. Don't worry, the watering can is one of my favorite spots. And we're gonna do our Q&A. You guys asked me questions on our YouTube group. I don't know what it is, but like where we can chat in the YouTube space, and I'm going to work on answering those questions for you. Before we get into that, I just want to do a little catch up because we haven't been together in so long. It's really only been like a month and a half, but it feels like forever. I knew going into September I was going to downsize my uploads from 3 times a week to 1 time because my mom had her knee surgery, which went great, and she's doing so much better. She's moved from her walker to her cane now. She just graduated from physio. She's on the right track, and she's faster than she's ever been in her whole life. Well, in the whole time that I've known her, which is amazing. So that went all smoothly. I've been busy taking her to physios and appointments and making sure that she has everything she needs. And then in between all of that, we were plagued with so much, is it plagued the right word? Anyways, we were struck with so much sickness in our house, which honestly, we hadn't been sick all summer, and I was not going to say anything about it. And yeah, it just came. And unfortunately, Ro got this fever that like would not go away. So strange. Like, typically when she gets sick, she gets a high fever and for a couple days, and then it's gone. Like, and then whatever her body has been fighting through has went away, but it came and then it wasn't going away. Medicine, if she took like Advil or Tylenol, it would go away only during the medicine time, but then it came back. And then that lasted for maybe 4 to 5 days. And on the 5th day, we were kind of like, what the heck? But then it went away randomly. And so we were like, okay, interesting. We tried to get an appointment with her doctor because we were like, well, we should go get it checked out. But we could not get a reasonable appointment. It was like 2 weeks. And then it came back after like 2 days. So we were like, okay, we're just going to take her to the Emerge and get it checked out because better safe than sorry. We almost felt like silly. Not silly, like, but sometimes you think like, is this a real emergency? Like that type of thing. But this is my PSA to anyone. Like, just go with your gut. And honestly, like if they sent you home and you know everything's okay, at least you know everything's okay. Because we fully, like the whole day we were in Emerge, like we waited the like whatever 3-4 hours. Ro did every test under the moon because she had no symptoms. That was another thing, she had no symptoms. So it was like she must have an infection somewhere, but we don't know what it is except for the fever. That was the only symptom. Anyways, long story short is we were in there the whole day. We eventually got moved up to the peds floor. And then next thing you know, she was in the hospital for a week. Like, what? That is wild. Thankfully, everything got sorted. We figured out where the infection was coming from. She's doing so much better and everything is all good now. But yeah, so isn't that wild? We went in thinking like, oh, we're going to get sent home and told to like take Advil or Tylenol and like kids just have fevers. But no. We ended up staying in the hospital for a week. So it was a full throw off. I stayed with Ro the whole time. Trevor was supporting me by bringing me food back and forth, and I was with Ro the whole time. And me and her were sleeping like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory style in her bed, like toe to head. It was just like this thing that threw everything off. And I just feel like I've been trying to get my bearings again. And now I'm back and I've got my bearings again and we're moving forward. So thank you for being patient with me. I so appreciate it. Hey cuties, I'm just editing this vlog and I wanted to throw in a quick editor's note. I actually had anticipated this vlog to go up the previous Sunday, but since Ro had left the hospital, we had had a few follow-up appointments, all this stuff going on, and then she got sick again. What the heck? So we went back to the Emerge, but thankfully we weren't admitted, but it was a whole life got thrown off again and we're good again. Everything's good. I'm not going to really speak about Ro's like health moving forwards or anything like that. That's like her thing, but just know that my heart is in the right place and life just gets in the way. And first and foremost, I'm a mom and my number one priority is taking care of my baby. So yeah, that's always going to be the place, but you guys are in my heart too. And I am happy that I'm getting to edit this now. So love you cutes. Love you, love you, love you. So now that we're not going here, let's drive to our location, but let's go get a coffee and a sweet something because that's what I want. And let's get to know each other better by answering these questions. Okay, off we go. Okay, cuties, we just got to the hiking spot. Yeah, I didn't answer any questions in the coffee shop because the second I got in there, they were clearly resetting for their like fall winter displays. And it was just like drill, 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 loud music, drill, 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 loud music, drill, drill, drill. And I was like getting overwhelmed because I was like, my plan is not going to plan. But you know what? I thought, whatever, I'm just gonna sit, have a coffee, and then we're gonna get in the woods because connecting with nature is 100% the best thing that I can ever do all the time. Yeah. And we're gonna answer our questions in there. Hopefully, unless it's like extra super too loud. But we're gonna get this vlogging. We're doing it together. I always try and get down in this forest as much as I can in the fall time because as soon as it's winter, it's atrocious. You really can't walk down here because it just becomes so slippery and dangerous because it's kind of on like the side of a big hill. And I love when I get to see the changing in color. So we've come at a perfect time where everything is just starting to turn, and hopefully throughout the next month or so I can just come down and experience it as much as possible. But let's get down there and hickety hike and get some questions answered. Come on, cutes, it's a Q&A. We gotta do some Q&A. All right, you can hear the potato cannons in the background and a bit of the stream, but the breeze is in the top of the trees right now and it is so extremely lovely. Our first question is, if you had no limit of ingredients, what dish would you make? Oh my gosh, I don't even know, because if I had no limit, I think, like, I'm taking that as like endless budget. Like, I could just go into a market and buy whatever I wanted. I would literally just do that. I would go into a market and I would buy whatever looked so lovely and beautiful and just like sparked inspiration and creativity for me, and I would just buy it all up, and then I would take it home, and I don't know if I would just make a single dish. I would make like a evening experience or an entertaining moment. Like, that's my type of like perfect hosting moment. I just love, like, I love that. One of my most favorite meals I ever made was for Trevor's dad and sister's birthday, because I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but I didn't go grocery shopping until the morning of the event, and I actually went to the farmer's market and I bought everything that looks so beautiful, and I threw together this really like farm to table moment, and it was so fun, and it really had me like inspired. And I feel like when I'm feeling, I have hair in my mouth, I feel like when I'm feeling my most inspired, I'm able to like be extra creative. And I also love using, like, that's like if we're talking about limitless budget situation. But then also I love like last minute little things where I just have to be creative with what I have and come up with something. So I guess that wasn't like a very specific answer. I just like when I have to like be a little extra creative. Like, it's not just like hand it to me. It's not just like a recipe I'm following. I have to like think a little bit outside the box. So having an endless budget to that would be awesome. Let's continue down this path and see if we can find some of that water, because I can hear it. Can you hear it? I think the wind's saying, let's go this way. You wanna come with me too? While we're walking, our next question is things I would say to my younger self. Oh my gosh, I feel like this is kind of like a loaded question because that's a lot. But the first thing that comes to mind is just slow down, be present, stop thinking of the future. I feel like I spent way too much of my childhood thinking about what my adult life was gonna look like, which I think is like super common. And I hope that I can instill this in Ro, and I try to, because even now I feel like she's like, I can't wait to be an adult and do whatever I want. I guess it's that feeling of like not having full control of your life. Wow, the trees look, do you hear the elephants? The potato guns, I think that's what they are. The trees look so vibrantly green right now. I just need to show you. But I think that that's like one of the biggest pieces of advice that I could give my younger self, is just, and that I try now to remind, because I always think like my younger self is me now. Like, I know I'm not my younger self, but I am currently a younger version of who I'm going to be at some point. And so whatever those messages are, I wish to tell younger Grace, I want to live now for this younger Grace as she moves into her future. That was convoluted and perhaps didn't make sense. Woo! We've got rocky bottoms. Oh, I see down the hill. But I think that's the most important thing that we can all live by. And another thing that comes to mind, besides just like trying not to wish away my life or grow up too fast and be as present as possible, is friendships. Like, I feel like when I was younger, I had a really hard time deciphering what it meant to value and prioritize a friendship appropriately. I feel like a lot of the time I was shy going into a situation, so if someone reached out to me or made me feel comfortable, then I would feel more comfortable to
allow them to see who I am. I would feel comforted and safe to be myself, but was that accepting a quality of friendship? Not always. So I feel like sometimes I would get comfortable in a friend community and then kind of feel like I didn't want to be part of that friend community. And then when I tried to swap to another friend community, I wasn't the best at doing that. I felt like I was leaving the other people behind and that I wasn't very communicative on like how I was feeling. This is very hard to explain, but ultimately I wish my younger self was more confident and reached out to people and created friendships with people who she wanted to, instead of waiting for other people to like be the first one. And that goes with me today. I feel like I'm better at this, but I also can get really in my head when it comes to deciding on who I'm gonna pursue in friendship. And so this is so beautiful. So those are my two things that I really would wish to tell my younger self. One, slow down, be present. Time is gonna pass no matter what, so just love the moment that you're in, or appreciate the moment that you're in, because if it's good, it's good, and if it's not, it's teaching you something. And number two is just being more confident in who I am and what I have to offer, and pursuing friendship better. Like, I wish that I did that. I'm so happy with where everything ended up, and I'm grateful for all the friends I have today, but I feel like I limited my possibilities as I was younger. As we're getting a little more treacherous here and closer to the water, I will meet you back soon. Cuties, I just needed to take a pit stop for a forced pee. It was an emergency, and where I am right now, there's not really like private space, but I found a secluded area by the rushing water in hopes that nobody would come around the corner, and nobody did. Okay, let's go over to the stairs. I think it's quieter there. Oh, cuties, I am so sweaty. I hope it's quieter over here. I moved away from the water, and also the mic's pointing this way. I just took a detour. I'm not sure if people are gonna come down. I'm standing on the largest stairs in the world, which I climbed not even halfway up. I think it's birds I hear, not people. Anyways, I didn't even bring water or anything, so I'm thirsty. Next question. How Trevor and I met. What a fun question. I have a podcast episode all on this if you want like a long form sitch. If I remember, I'll link it in the description. Basically, we met at summer camp. So we both went to the same camp, but it is like after you're 10, excuse the cannons, after you're 10, you move from like the boy-girl campus to boys camp and girls camp. And so Trevor only ever went when he was at boys camp. I did go to the kids campus, but I was in girls camp. Oh, I ended up in a burr bush. Been picking them out of me. After you graduate or like grow out of that, then you go on to LIT if you want, which is like the leader in training program, which is co-ed. So I did leader in training and Trevor did leader in training at the same time, and we were actually paired up in the same small group. So there's like small groups within the large session itself, and I think it's made up of 6 people. Yeah, I think 3 girls, 3 boys, and then you have a small group leader. We met each other the very first day because we were in each other's small group, and then after, like very shortly after you begin camp, you go out on a canoe trip with 2 small groups together, and me and Trevor got partnered, or we were both like pretty shy, and so we ended up canoe buddies, like canoe partners, because we didn't like, when they were like, okay, everyone partner off, neither of us were like, hey, you want to be my partner to anyone? And so we were like the last 2. So that's how we ended up together. And we actually like were so Akko Taco, and he was steering and I was in the front, and we ended up canoeing like so far ahead because we were like so awkward. We were just like focused on paddling and just like moving through and not like really taking it chill or relaxed. And we were talking, like we were definitely saying like, oh, like tell me where you live, what school do you go to, what's your family look like all that stuff. Like we were definitely getting to know each other, but we were like so focused on just like the get to know you questions and the paddling, and none of this like chillaxness. But we really got to know each other in that canoe, which I'm glad, because I doubt we would have like ever talked, because I definitely got my group of friends and like we did overlap. Like our friend Phil, who we like stayed with in Korea, I met him there. Trevor and him knew each other prior. They went to the same youth group. So I met Phil there and we became like good friends as well. And so we would have like overlapped in some sense of our groups, but like I don't know how it would have turned out. So yeah, we met at camp and then we just were friends. And then you do 2 weeks of leader in training together at like the LIT site, and then you go off to do 2 weeks at whatever site you're placed at to do like 2 weeks of like being a leader under another leader. And so while we were there, he was at boys camp, I was at girls camp, we did write letters back and forth. They have like a letter system called intercamp mail, and they were just friendly. And then at the end of the summer, so then we went home, and then you come back, you don't have to, but at the end of the summer they have like a teens camp, which is for like all the teens, and it's co-ed to come back and have like a week together before you go back to school. We did the teen camp together and then went back to our lives, and we stayed in touch via like Facebook, like really not like too much. And like I would invite him to things because I hosted a lot of like Halloween parties and like get-togethers, birthday stuff like that for like all the LIT people, and I always invited him, but he never came. But also Trevor was very shy at the time. I guess I'm telling you the long story, not the short story. But then that whole year went past, and then we went back to camp, and he worked at boys camp, I worked at girls camp. We started mailing again. I remember at the beginning of the summer, one of my girlfriends was like, oh, like, who do you like? Like we were talking about like who we like and whatever. And they were like, what about you and Trevor? And I was like, no way. Anyways, then I started like mailing him. And then in the middle of the summer, I actually ended up having his sister, Lauren, as my camper before we started dating. And I remember his parents like came in. I was like, hi, I'm Culvert/Grace. You like say your camp name. And then before I'm Culvert/ and then before I could say my real name, because I said my camp name first, but I always introduce my real name to the parents as well. Before I could even say my real name, his mom was like, Grace. And I was like, how does this person know my name so random? And she was like, I'm Trevor's mom. And I was like, Trevor. And I remember looking at like Lauren's name and seeing her last name and thinking it looks familiar, but I like can't put it together. And I was like, oh yeah, oh my gosh. So then I put it all together. So I was like, oh, how serendipitous, but also like, oh, Trevor's mom knows about me. How does she know about me? And so anyways, me and Trevor would write like pages and pages of letters back and forth. And like whenever we saw each other in person, if it was like on a day off or whatever, or boy girl day, we would like never say anything to each other. Maybe we would say hi, but we were so awko taco. And then come the end of the summer, it was that teen camp again, where we got to go back and be campers. We were like so awkward that whole week. And then the last day he was like getting into his car to go. And I was like, I saw him and I was like, Trevor, are you gonna leave without saying bye? And we like hugged goodbye, and I said we better like see each other sometime throughout the year, because we didn't live too far away. He just lived like a city over, sorry, is it so bright? He just lived a couple cities over. So anyways, my youth group leader was getting married, and her husband was actually Trevor's youth group leader. Like how random. And so because she was getting married, they were gonna be moving, and so she was actually going to be going to that church as well. So we, a small group of us, ended up going every so often to that church because it was like out of the city. And then we were running into Trevor more, and so then we would see Trevor, and Phil went there as well. So our lives were just like more interconnected outside of camp. And then we planned like a get together on one of the PD days, which is like a day off school, and everyone ended up canceling last minute, so it was just me and Trevor. And then yeah, long story short, we ended up really connecting and then like dating, and then here we are. So that was like long story short in that sense, but it was not long story short in how I met. But we met at camp. It's almost 12, so I'm thinking we're gonna head out, go get some lunch, and then we will get down to the rest of the questions. Let's go, cutes.
just like am crashing so hard all of a sudden. But I got my food to go because I just figured it's gonna be easier to answer questions. I got the hibiscus tea. Doesn't have any sweetener in it. Sour and refreshing, which is perfect because I don't have my water bottle. And then I got my favorite sandwich, which we learned together is the, oh, so good. I think we're doing rapid fire next, or was there one question? But we can add that into the rapid fire because I'm already feeling at the rapid fire state of mind. Okay, cheers, cutes. Oh. You ever take a bite and your jaw like locks up? That's what just happened. Talk about your time in education and would you ever go back? So if you didn't know, I was a registered early childhood educator. I absolutely loved it. And would I ever go back? I don't know. I feel like I knew going into deciding to have a kid, I was like saying goodbye to that phase of my career. I feel like that was always part of the plan because I knew that like when I had young kids, I probably wouldn't want to work in early childhood education. But that being said, I do absolutely love it. And then now that Ro's like at that age of the kids that I worked with, it's like so reminiscent of that. And then also this past weekend, my best friend from BC was in town with her son who is younger than Ro, but having the like two dynamics in the house was like so lovely, and it did remind me of like the good times. So never say never, but I do not have plans as of now. I also know nothing about the education world where we live now. I know it's not that far away from Toronto, but it is like a total different ball game. I also just had, is this rapid fire? I'm going too slow, sorry. I also had like just the best job before I went on mat leave, and it would be hard to replicate it. I did think about opening a like home daycare at one point in my life. Maybe that would be a future thing, who knows? Am I doing Vlogmas again? Yes, I am gonna do Vlogmas again. I'm so excited. I had so much fun doing that. It really pushed me to work hard because it was a lot of daily editing, but I also just like loved embracing and taking in those memories. So yes, I have plans to do Vlogmas again. My favorite birthday, oh my gosh, what a hard one. Actually, it's not that hard. I know my favorite birthday. I'm trying to think of how old I was turning. I want to say 17. I think it was my 17th birthday. It was not my 16th. I think it was my 17th birthday. I was at camp. Most of my birthdays growing up, I was either at camp or in Northern Ireland visiting family, and I actually loved being away from home for my birthday, but I was at camp and I was a leader, so I definitely think it was my 17th birthday, and I was just surrounded by like my bestest friends, and I had a great chalet, and they had decorated the dining room at lunch for me, and it was just like so sweet, and honestly it was so much fun. Someone went and got a cake on their day off. I just felt like so many people in my life who weren't family were taking the time to be so thoughtful, and that was like so sweet. Like that was my first birthday where, I don't know, I felt like my friends were my family. Does that make sense? It was so sweet. How did you get into social media? I remember when I first found like YouTube for the purpose of vlogging, because I loved YouTube growing up, like for music. In high school, I would spend like way into the early morning hours listening to music and watching lyric videos, which is like wild to think because I have always been like a early riser, early go to bed person, but I did have that phase. Between the summers of going to college for ECE, I nannied, and while I was nannying, I had one girl who took a nap during the day, and her brothers were at school. And so anyways, I found on my iPad vloggers on YouTube. I remember I became obsessed. Like I absolutely adored it. It was like my favorite thing to consume. I still obviously love consuming it, but that was where my first fascination came. And then from there, I feel like I always wanted to give it a go. And I tried a bunch of different things like throughout the years. When I really decided to like put my all into content creation and try and make a career out of it was while I had just quit a job that I got post-pandemic in person, and I was just like in a bad place. mentally and like trying to figure out who I was, and I felt like really out of place. Long story short, I told Trevor like I am going to try posting on TikTok seriously and make it into a career, and he was like, okay, let's do it. And I kid you not, like when I made that proclamation, is that a right word? I've been saying so many big words today that I have no idea what they mean. When I made that like statement out loud, it just like took it to the next level, and the rest is history. I just started growing on TikTok, and now I'm in this place where it's like I love to hate TikTok. Like, I don't know, I just have this like short form content is like so on the brain, and I don't want to be part of that, so I have a hard time, and I'm trying to foster long form content on YouTube, which YouTube is like the place that I love the most. So yeah, but anyways, that's how I got into social media. I also did go to school after EC. I'm working for a bit for what do you call it? For marketing, for advertising and marketing, where I learned a lot more about like the ins and outs, but honestly, I'm not strategic at all with social media. Okay, how was having a cleaning service? Oh my gosh, that was literally the best Christmas present Trevor could have ever got me. I'm asking for it again for Christmas. Like, I frigging love it. We just have a person come once a month and do like a general clean, like floor, vacuum, mop, sweep, bathrooms, kitchen, that stuff. And it is amazing. After she comes, it is the breath of fresh air that I need. And it honestly just like keeps me accountable to keeping the house picked up and everything, because obviously we have to have a tidy house to have a clean house. I absolutely love it. It's 10 out of 10, and I will be requesting it again for Christmas this year. Why did your name change from 5 years time? I think I talked about this on the vlog, but long story short, 5 years time is like connected to the podcast, and it was like a whole thing, and it was connected to the original form of the podcast, which was me and Lauren co-hosting together. And then obviously it was all my socials, and then I ended up growing from the podcast into like my own personal account and doing like more food and general me stuff, and I just felt it didn't fit me anymore. And I still love like the meaning of 5 years time, but I decided to go back to what my first social media account handle ever was, which is the Grace Update, and I just feel like that's fitting to me, and it like encompasses that it's about me as a whole. So that's why I changed. What's my favorite snack to put on a snack plate? Oh my gosh, that is so hard. I feel like that is like that's such a tough one, because it's like a mass question, and I feel like it's ever changing. But my favorite thing to do, my favorite current snack plate setup is a breakfast snack plate, and I'm loving wood fire bagels, specifically Kettleman's bagels, which are like the wood fire Montreal style bagels. Because when I had gone to pick up my friend from the airport, it was like super early in the morning the other day, and Kettleman's is open 24 hours. So I was like, oh, if I'm early to the airport, and there's one by the airport, I was like, I will go get bagels. And that's exactly what I did. I went and got bagels, and I went to the bathroom, which was perfect. I have those right now. So a Montreal bagel, toast it with butter, a Baby Bell cheese, some really crunchy green grapes, and I'm like the happiest girl in the world. That's like my favorite little snack plate makeup at the moment. I'm trying to think like, and then if I'm just gonna have like any snack plate ever, I need something sweet. Like there needs to be some sort of sweet element. It just makes it so fun. And that was all the questions. Wow, we did it. And perfect timing, because I need to head out at 2. There's a giant unicorn. I'm gonna finish up my sandwich, and then I'm gonna head home, get rowy. I actually saw a flower stand. Oh, did I mention this? While we were driving here, after I had just told you the story of how me and Trevor met, I literally saw the date like on a board. You know, sometimes there's like those digital boards that say the date and the time and the weather. And I realized that today is me and Trevor's date-iversary. Like, what? And then I was continuing to drive down this beautiful country road, and it had this cute little flower stand, and I was like, oh, I should get Trevor flowers and surprise him and say happy date-iversary. So if I go back the same way, I literally have no idea which direction that was. So if Google takes me that way, I kind of know which direction it was, but I don't remember. I turned off into another road. I want to stop there and get some flowers to wish Trevor a happy date-iversary. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being patient and understanding, and thank you for asking the questions. I'm happy we could get to know each other a little bit more. Sending hugs, sending kisses. Mwah, mwah, mwah.